welcome to my channel for the Hindu editorial analysis of August 5th. And guys, I really thank you for the wonderful comments which you have given me. It really means a lot. So do comment and motivate me. And again, I would like to tell the same thing. If you like my video, do hit the like button, subscribe my channel, and also give your opinion about the video. So thank you guys. Let's move on to the article now. So coming to the first article, price of rapacity. See guys, this article is all about the illegal mining activity which happened in Odisha and the Supreme Court verdict with respect to that. So the Supreme Court gave the verdict that those who have illegally extracted the minerals should have to pay 100% compensation. So this is the verdict, and this article tries to say that the Supreme Court has gone beyond the polluter's pay principle. See guys, I would like to make a point here. Polluter's pay principle is a principle where those activities which harm the environment or which brings in climate change will have to pay in form of compensation. One such example in India is carbon tax, and one important point to be noted with respect to the carbon tax is that it is implemented only on coal. So that is the polluter's pay principle which is available in India. So coming to the article, so this article tries to say that the Supreme Court verdict has gone beyond the political pay principle, and it has also set a significant benchmark, making for stringent action against those who indulged in illegal mining activities, that is without environmental or forest clearance. And guys, this article tries to bring in the argument that the center and the mining companies made with respect to this. So the center argued that the compensation could be 30%, but the Supreme Court refused it, saying 70% cannot be given as profit to the illegal mining companies, and the companies argued that they got the notification of environmental impact assessment only in the year 1994, and they have been mining prior to that. See guys, environmental impact assessment is a sort of license. It is a sort of assessment which is made before any projects which may harm the environment. For instance, I can give you an example. See, a nuclear power plant is going to be implemented. This nuclear power plant may have impact on the environment. So this environmental impact assessment assesses the impact of the project, and then it gives its clearance. And this is regulated by Ministry of Environment and Forests under Environmental Protection Act 1986. So the companies argue that they got the environmental impact assessment notification only in the year 1994, and they have been mining prior to that, and they have mined only in their leased area. But even the Supreme Court refused their arguments, saying that extracting above the limit is also illegal mining, even though it is mined in the leased area, and every project requires environmental clearance. So they should have clarified that every renewal of mining lease would require such clearance. So this article also tries to say that the Supreme Court has been passing serious orders with respect to the illegal mining companies, and it also tries to compare it with the illegal mining which happened in Goa and Karnataka, saying that the Supreme Court judgment has been coming hard on those who have mined illegally. And this article also tries to bring in the point of view of Supreme Court. It says that the Supreme Court is of concern that these sort of illegal mining depletes the natural resources, and these sort of illegal mining in Odisha is of a great concern. And even the Supreme Court has criticized the government for not implementing the National Mineral Policy 2008, saying that it is only appearing in paper and not enforced. So this article tries to say that these sort of illegal mining activities has become a source of corruption, exploitation of natural resources, and it also brings in impact on the forest dwellers plus tribal people. So this article tries to say that these sort of judgment tries to bring in intergenerational equity. See guys, intergenerational equity in this sense refers to the judgment where it brought in the concern of the future generation also. See guys, any activity which affects the environment has an impact on the other generations. So this article tries to say that these sort of verdict brings in intergenerational equity. So as a concluding factor, this article tries to say that the court has not set a limit for the mining activities. That is, they have not prescribed the limits for mining, but they have brought in judgment which has paved the way for resolving some issues and happens to be a warning factor for those in power. So that's it with respect to this article guys, and I would also like to make one more point. The same article also came in Indian Express, where the Indian Express mentions that even the CBI could have been bought in, that is the probe of CBI could also bought in, which could have revealed many truth, but the Supreme Court did not resort to that and gave this judgment for 100% compensation. So that's it with respect to this article guys. We'll move on to the next article. So coming to the next article, editing ourselves. See guys, this article is all about the genetic mutation and the gene editing. So what I'll do is, while going into this article, I'll be explaining the terminologies, because the explanation of terminology will easily help you to understand this article. So this article tries to say that scientists for the first time have managed to edit genes in the human embryo, and they have repaired an genetic mutation. Fine. So to repair an genetic mutation, they have edited genes in human embryo. I hope everyone knows what is the meaning of an embryo. So in a crux format, you just remember that they have edited genes to repair genetic mutation. Fine. So before going into this article, you need to know what is the meaning of a genetic mutation. See guys, you just remember in this way, mutation means alteration. Mutation is a change. Mutation is a change or alteration. Fine. So a gene mutation is a permanent alteration in the DNA sequence. See, every DNA has a sequence. So there is a change in the DNA sequence that makes up the genes. Fine. So it differs in the sequence what it used to be present. Fine. So you just remember in this way, there is a change in the DNA sequence that is called gene mutation. Mutation means change. Fine. So because of this change, many diseases occurs. So here this article tries to give an example of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So there is a gene mutation which thickens the heart muscle and it is called as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and this causes death in young athletes. Fine. So this hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is caused by a mutation in a particular gene. That is an alteration in a particular gene. Fine. So what happened is, in order to remove the alterated gene, that is in order to remove the small portion of mutation, the researchers injected a sperm of another man and a gene editing tool which is called as CRISPR-Cas9. Fine. So this CRISPR-Cas9 happens to be a gene editing tool that cuts the DNA near the position of the mutation, that is the altered gene is removed, and this gene editing tool cut the DNA at the correct position, and out of 58 cases, 42 of them did not carry the mutation. So that's what this article tries to say. So what we'll do is, we'll just see what is the meaning of gene editing and what is this CRISPR-Cas9. So we'll move on to the background. Now we'll see what is the meaning of gene editing. See, gene editing is an insertion, deletion or replacement of a DNA, fine, at a specific site in a genome. So genes of any living organisms can be edited, and there are many technologies, and this CRISPR-Cas9 is a technology of gene editing, and it offers high degree of flexibility and accuracy, and it differs from another genetic engineering technique as it allows the introduction and removal of one or more gene at a time. That is, see, many gene editing technique includes only removal of a gene, but this Cas9 allows us to introduce as well as remove gene at a particular time. Fine. And one more advantages of this technique is that it makes possible to modify many different genes very quickly and reduces the time taken for the process. And this technique is not species specific. See guys, what this point means is, this technique can also be used in agriculture. For instance, see, even plants have their own DNA. So even this technique can be applied there. Genetic engineering in agriculture. So this is called as gene editing. So we'll move on to the article. And this article also tries to say that even though this sort of research marks a major milestone in genome editing of embryos, it will be a long journey for these sort of techniques to be implemented in reality. That is with respect to the embryos in particular. And this article also tries to give an example as a reason. It says that even in United States, these sort of genome editing techniques are solely allowed only for the research purposes, and these genome edited embryos are not allowed in women's. Fine. So it is not only with respect to the US, many nations have their reservation with respect to these genome editing techniques. And this article also tries to say that several diseases can be prevented by using these techniques. It says that even cancer can be prevented with the help of these sort of genome editing techniques. But it has also brought in fears of designer babies. That is the possibility of choosing their own baby with respect to the genome editing. So this article also tries to say that if one looks at the past, in retrospect, every advancement in reproductive health, that is with respect to the in vitro fertilization or three-parent baby technique, had their controversies at the initial stages. So in the same way, even this CRISPR, that is Cas9 gene editing tool, has its own controversies, but one has to look in a scientific manner, in a rational manner, that it prevents many hereditary disease causing mutations from being passed on to the child. So this article tries to say that there are few diseases which is prevailing in the recent arena where vaccination or the drugs has no effect on it. So these sort of techniques should be allowed. So that is the crux of the second para of the article, which this article tries to say. So this article tries to say that to bring in these sort of techniques, that is editing embryo for the clinical use, should require rigorous research and multiple multiple locations should be involved, because see, it is not only with respect to the US, even many nations has their reservation, as I told you before. So this sort of research should be carried out in multiple locations. It should bring in their safety concerns, as well as it also involves certain ethical issues. So these sort of techniques should be implemented in a careful manner. So what this article tries to say is that the scientists are doing their work, at the same time the psychological and the ethical debates is going on the other side. So it is upon us to decide whether we have to move in a scientific manner or we have to maintain our ethical standards. So that's it with respect to this article. We'll move on to the next article. So coming to the next article, wages of being a legislature. See guys, this article is an interesting article to read because it tries to bring in the salaries of the legislature. It describes the salaries of the legislature with every dimensions and it tries to criticize it. So coming to the article now, this article says that the Tamil Nadu Assembly has voted to double their salaries, that is the salaries of their legislature, while it tries to say that it is a state which is in drought-like condition and the farmers of Tamil Nadu are protesting in Delhi for loan waiving and they are also protesting for drought package. So this is the scenario which is prevailing in Tamil Nadu, and the Tamil Nadu Assembly has raised their salary and that to double the amount. And this article also tries to bring in few interesting facts. It says that India is paying rupees 2.7 lakhs as a salary for the member of parliament, and the Maharashtra Assembly MLAs, they have raised above 1.5 lakhs, that is above the salary of president. So these sort of factual informations this article tries to place in, and this article also tries to compare the salaries of legislature with respect to the world, and it tries to bring in the example of countries which is present in Africa and Asia. It says that Nigeria pays its lawmakers 100 times its per capita GDP, while in Kenya it is 76 times the per capita income. And even it tries to bring in the salaries of Italian lawmakers. It says that they have a gross salary which is second highest in the world, which is 5 times higher than the average Italian wage. While talking the salaries which is prevailing in the world, this article also talks about the salary history of India. It says that in India initially the start was promising. Jawaharlal Nehru saw the entire cabinet decision that they will not avail salaries for their 6 months. They gave up their salaries for 6 months because of economic sufferings, and it also tries to bring in few political personalities such as Biswanath Das saying that he chose to draw only rupees 25 instead of rupees 45 a day, and even Munusami Pillai. So these sort of information is not very much important, but these are factual in nature, and this article also tries to say that when you compare from the past, the salaries have raised 1250 times, which is a case questionable, and it also tries to put in moral rectitude. And even this article tries to bring in the parliament productivity, says that comparing to the past, the parliamentary committee's scrutinization of bill has reduced by 50%, and even many bills are passed with respect to the money bills. For instance, it tries to bring in the example of Aadhaar. So many bills are passed, and it tries to bring in an important note. It says that bills are for the priority of the politics and it is not for the priority of the policy. And even this article also tries to bring in the salaries which is presenting in UK, which is not very much important. You just remember in this way that the salaries of the lawmakers is above the per capita level, which is highest in all the countries, and it should be. So this article tries to say that instead of seeking pay in line with the private sector, India public representatives should be paid a reasonable wage which offers gratitude for their commitment to life as a public servant. We need an external independent body to determine the parliamentary salaries. So this article tries to say that self-regulation is not enough. We need a separate body. See, because ultimately, even though the salaries of the Supreme Court and any other political organizations comes under charged expenditure, see, even though the parliament cannot reduce their salaries, but they have a power with respect to the increase in salaries. Fine. So this article also tries to say that instead of self-regulation, salaries review should be conducted through an institutional process, and increment should be transparent and accountable, and the salaries should be performance-based salary. But this article also tries to say that, however, performance-based salary is difficult to attain because of varying interpretation. So this remains a complex problem to answer. So as a solution, what the author tries to say is they have to link their incentive with respect to the attendance in parliamentary sessions, and an institution should be set up to investigate it to raise their parliamentary standards. See guys, as I told you before, it is an interesting article to read because it criticizes the legislature, but there is none important fact points which is available in this article. So you can use this points in your parliamentary productivity answer if at all such questions comes into play. So that's it with respect to this article.